and welcome once again to Travel in Chinese. I'm Mark Rosewell, also known as Dashan. In the previous episode, we were talking about the Summer Palace, Yiheyuan. It's sort of a resort area for the imperial family in the late 19th century. Now it's a popular tourist destination, and it's quite close to major universities like Peking University and Tsinghua University. The Summer Palace is easily accessible by car or by public transit. Today in our dialogues, we're going to go and visit the Summer Palace, Yiheyuan. Let's take a look.
小王啊，早就想到颐和园来玩，谢谢你今天陪我们一起来。
你别这么说，你太客气了。
哥哥，这么多门，我们应该从哪一个进去呢？
这个叫东宫门，是颐和园的正门，门口的正中间，当年可是皇帝和慈禧太后才可以走的，其他的人要想从这儿走，那可没门。
那他们都走哪儿啊？
他们只能走两边的小门。
没想到这门还会有这么多的讲究，咱们走吧。
哇，这里可真大啊！哥哥，我们该朝哪个方向开好？
往这边，跟我走。 小杰，你别看颐和园这么大，其实它是由3个部分组成的。
哪3个部分呢？
宫廷区、万寿山和昆明湖。你们想看哪个部分呢？
这些我们都想看，但不知先看哪个好。
我想看宫廷区，那是不是皇帝住的地方？
宫廷区当年是皇帝和慈禧太后办公的地方，在那儿你还可以看到慈禧太后的寝宫。
寝宫那是什么地方？
寝就是睡觉的意思，寝宫就是皇帝和太后休息的地方。
慈禧和皇帝住在颐和园，他们不是住在故宫里吗？
他们不是偶尔来这里度假的吧？
不是这样的，慈禧太后就很喜欢住在这里，有时候她一住就是大半年呢。
哦，原来是这样啊！
走，跟我走。
这就是著名的长廊了吧？我以前经常在明信片上看到它。
这些画的都是什么？我都看不懂。
这里边有的我都看不懂，这里面有的画的是西湖风景，有的是民间故事。
我觉得这长廊设计得很不错，不仅分隔了这边的山和湖，而且看风景的时候还可以防雨防晒。
你还真说到点子上了，的确是这样的。
妈妈，你看那边的湖真漂亮。
这就是昆明湖，它的形状看起来像个寿桃，而后面的万寿山呢，它的形状像一只蝙蝠。
蝙蝠？为什么偏偏要像蝙蝠呢？多难看呐！
不知道了吧？这是因为蝙蝠的蝠和幸福的福的发音是一样的。
这样设计都是为了图个吉利吧？
固然有这方面的考虑，不过这也反映出中国园林的一大特点。
听不懂，听不懂。我们现在去爬山吧。
好。
The colloquial expression 没门 literally means no door, meaning there's no way, it's not possible. 没门. Imperial Chinese architecture is full of this kind of 讲究, which are things that require particular attention or can only be done in a certain proper way. 有讲究。
这个叫东宫门，是颐和园的正门，门口的正中间，当年可是皇帝和慈禧太后才可以走的，其他的人要想从这儿走，那可没门。
那他们都走哪儿啊？
他们只能走两边的小门。
没想到这门还会有这么多的讲究，咱们走吧。
There are more than 3,000 rooms in the Summer Palace, but they can be divided into 3 main parts or areas. 主要是由3个部分组成的。Today we're going to talk a little bit about this sentence pattern, 由 something 组成, to be made up of or comprised of something. For instance, 我们的节目由5个部分组成. Our program is made up of 5 sections or 5 parts.
小杰， 你别看颐和园这么大，其实它是由3个部分组成的。
哪3个部分呢？
宫廷区、万寿山和昆明湖，你们想看哪个部分呢？
这些我们都想看，但不知先看哪个好。
Well, they go to visit the palace section, which is the imperial family's living and working areas. Qingong literally means sleeping palace. This is a fancy name for a bedroom or their private living quarters. Xuemei is confused. Didn't the emperor and his wives and concubines live in the forbidden city, the Gugong, the imperial palace? Xiaojie suggests, 他们是偶尔才来这儿度假的吧? They only came here occasionally, didn't they? 偶尔 means occasionally or once in a while. But this was the favorite playground of the Empress Dowager Cixi. 有时候甚至一住就是大半年. Sometimes she would live here more than half the year. 大半年 means more than half the year. 小半年 would mean less than half the year.
寝就是睡觉的意思，寝宫就是皇帝和太后休息的地方。
慈禧和皇帝住在颐和园，他们不是住在故宫里吗？
他们不是偶尔来这里度假的吧？
不是这样的，慈禧太后就很喜欢住在这里，有时候她一住就是大半年呢。
Imperial Chinese architecture is full of symbolic meanings. For example, Kunming Lake, which is man-made, is shaped like a shou tao, a longevity peach. This comes from a traditional fable about how you can attain immortality by eating these special peaches from heaven. Note that we usually don't put the R ending on shou tao. You can actually buy peaches like this in the marketplace, but they're not real fruit. They're made from pastry. Shou tao, longevity peaches. 而后边的万寿山呢，就像只蝙蝠. Longevity Mountain behind the lake looks just like a bat, a 蝙蝠. But why is that considered auspicious? Well, the character 福 from 蝙蝠 sounds just like the 福 as in 幸福. They're written differently, but the characters are pronounced the same way. So bats are considered a symbol of good fortune.
这就是昆明湖，它的形状看起来像个寿桃，而后面的万寿山呢，它的形状像一只蝙蝠。
蝙蝠？为什么偏偏要像蝙蝠呢？多难看呐！
不知道了吧？这是因为蝙蝠的蝠和幸福的福的发音是一样的。
Okay, let's take a bit of a break now and talk in more detail about the Summer Palace, Yiheyuan. This is one of the best sites in the Beijing area. In the later part of the last dynasty, the imperial family would often come here during the summer months to avoid the heat of the Forbidden City. Relief from the heat is mainly due to Kunming Lake, which occupies about 3/4 of the park. Much of this lake is man-made, with the soil excavated being used to increase the side of Wanshou Shan, Longevity Hill, on the north side of the lake. The park is firmly linked in history with the Empress Dowager Cixi, who was the true source of power in the late Qing dynasty. She is seen as a corrupt figure who prevented China from taking the necessary steps to modernize. For example, it's said that she used the budget for building a Chinese navy to build a marble boat on the shores of Kunming Lake. Of course, the boat doesn't float. It's simply a place where you can lounge about and enjoy the scenery. Several years later, after this boat was built, China again found herself unable to defend against foreign aggression. There's a central building in the Summer Palace where the emperor would deal with state business while residing at the Summer Palace. It's said, however, that the Empress Dowager would sit behind a screen right behind the emperor so that she could tell him what to do. This is called 垂帘听政, to sit behind the screen and order the business of the day. Besides the lake and the marble boat, one of the most interesting sights at the Summer Palace is the 700-meter-long covered walkway called Changlang that is mentioned in the dialogue. There's also a beautiful stone bridge called 17孔桥, 17-span bridge that links the main island to the shore. Near the bridge you'll find a beautiful bronze ox who seems to be leisurely enjoying the scenery. Now let's take a look at some of the language points that we came across in today's dialogue. For example, 偶尔, occasionally. This is an adverb. It's the opposite of 经常, which would be frequently. 偶尔, occasionally. Let's look at this example. 我一般在家吃饭，偶尔也会出去吃。I normally eat at home, but occasionally I'll go out to eat as well. 我一般在家吃饭，偶尔也会出去吃。Normally I eat at home. Sometimes I go out to eat.
他们不是偶尔来这里度假的吧？
不是这样的， 慈禧太后就很喜欢住在这里。
There were a few grammatical points that came up in today's lesson that I think would be good for a substitution exercise. 不知 something 好 to not know what to do. 知 of course is short for 知道, so we could say 不知道 something 好. We can also say 才好 for emphasis. 不知道 something 才好 I really don't know what to do. Let's look at an example. 他不明白我的意思，我真不知道怎么说才好。He doesn't understand what I mean. I really don't know what to say. What can I say? 他不明白我的意思，我真不知道怎么说才好。I really don't know what to say.
他第一次去女朋友家，紧张的不知该说什么好。
他第一次去女朋友家，紧张的不知该说什么好。
今天点的菜全是他爱吃的，他都不知道要先吃哪一个才好。
今天点的菜全是他爱吃的，他都不知道要先吃哪一个才好。
Here's a third pattern. 固然 something, 不过 something else. This indicates that you admit the first thing, but you want to clarify something else. You accept the first clause. It's quite similar to the pattern 虽然 something, 但是 something else. We learned that in a previous episode. For instance, we could say 工作固然重要，不过也要注意休息。Work is important. We accept that. We understand that. 工作固然重要，不过也要注意休息。But we have to pay attention to rest. We need our rest. 工作固然重要，不过也要注意休息。
坐飞机旅游固然方便，不过票价可比火车票贵多了。
坐飞机旅游固然方便，不过票价可比火车票贵多了。
烤鸭固然好吃，不过经常吃会让人变胖的。
烤鸭固然好吃，不过经常吃会让人变胖的。
Today we went to see 颐和园 the Summer Palace, which is 由三个部分组成 comprised of 3 parts. Those are the palace structures, the mountain, and the lake. This is a fine example of 中国的园林艺术, the art of Chinese gardens. You know, another fine example of traditional Chinese architecture is 天坛, the Temple of Heaven. Comparing these two places, you might say, 真不知道先看哪个好. I really don't know which one to go and see first. Well, I'm afraid that's all the time we have for today. We'll see you next time on Chinese. 再见.